Chapter 27. Dante really and factually stopped caring at this point. His guarded expression became much more lax, and he plopped into his seat confidently, like he was destined to sit there. Beside him was a mixed-race male with elf-like features who glanced at Dante with a look of neutrality before looking away. The third seat was occupied by the Lamia girl from before, while the fourth seat was occupied by a slug-like alien that remained motionless after it took its seat. Dante looked further down and saw Louisa at the 20th position, 8 places from last. Her expression was exceedingly awkward, especially when factoring in where Dante was sitting compared to her. The other pure humans did not fare much better, ranging from 1 at 8th to 1 at 13th, and the other 2 at 17th and 18th in the end. Louisa was the last among the pure humans, and this caused an instant hierarchical shift that the 5 of them could directly feel. Their respectful looks towards Louisa reduced significantly, while Louisa's expression became extremely ugly. Dante noted all of this with a chill in his heart. He had read on the Etranet while searching for information about the Eternal Academy that all forms of social class and background from outside did not matter once one became a student. Beatrice had also harped on about this, but people always said such exaggerative things when talking about top institutions. However, when you entered, you realized that it was severely exaggerated because the rich young master still had cronies following him around even if his grades were trash. However, they hadn't even seen the face of the leaders of the academy, and a class system had been established. Louisa, who was at the top in terms of racial and family background outside, was now reduced to the lowest class among their group in less than a few seconds after sitting. All this just because of the ranking the school gave their superpowers during the entrance examination. Dante thought back to Xue Bing's words about how he should conceal any flaws if the rating was inaccurate, and he deeply understood what she was trying to hint at. Eventually, a song began to play as a band of humans, mixed breeds, and aliens came from the back of the assembly hall and marched to the front. While they played, the podium before them came to life since the seats that had been placed on the stage lit up as projections appeared on them. Ads by Pub Future from left to right. There were 46 projections, and all of them were arrogant and well-dressed adults who glanced down at them with amusement, mockery, or a playful look, making Dante frown. I in the center, with the best seat almost similar to a throne and a projection that felt lifelike, was a beautiful fair-skinned young woman wearing purple military clothes meant for a general with her coat handing off her shoulders. She had a head of lush white hair that reached her shoulders, some parts of it spiky. Her eyes were blood red, and she wore the coldest expression Dante had seen since he came to this universe. She simply glanced at the student body casually, and then looked away. Her eyes were like giant searchlights placed upon a group of prisoners who were slowly escaping from prison, making them freeze in place and tremble like rabbits. When her gaze alighted, they all sighed subconsciously. The woman then glanced at the fellow beside her who was a scholarly young man with a gentle and caring smile on his face. Vice Principal Andres, give me the statistics, and let me see if this batch is worth my presence. She requested neutrally. Sure. Don't be too harsh on them though. There are only a few good seedlings. The rest are average. The one called Andres said as he stood up, making the hearts of everyone clench. The woman in the center, likely the principal, humphed coldly but did not retort. Andres clapped his hands and smiled genially at everyone. Ads by Pub Future. Hello students. My name is Andres Faven, and I am the first vice headmaster of the Eternal Academy. He then bowed graciously while the students clapped uncertainly. Andres did not mind and gestured to a woman who was basically a brown-haired, underage-looking girl in round-rimmed glasses who was frowning at all of them. That is Elizabeth Lyon, the second vice headmistress of the Eternal Academy. Andres then introduced all 46 people seated in the projections one by one, but very few got up to bow to the students. Most just looked down with disdain or boredom, wondering when this was going to end. Finally, he gestured to the woman in the middle. And of course, saving the best for last, there is our beautiful and all-powerful headmistress, Lara Sanguis. Lara did not stand up, but the students still clapped respectfully. Some faces changed greatly as they recognized this name, and even Dante quickly downloaded some basic information about her. When he did, his heart stopped for a second due to the sheer absurdity. Cutting out the other parts, the key things to note were that she was the admiral of the First Fleet, which was the most powerful, and she was also a counselor of the Prime Civilization. On top of that, she was the most powerful person in the known universe, with 7 superpowers belonging to her alone. I will cut to the chase. The rule of the Eternal Academy and everything you need to know, including your classes, electives, teachers, roles, requirements, obligations, and goals have been uploaded to your AI chips the moment you sat on your respective seats. Andres continued. That way, the ceremony can end quickly since we, your teachers, are actually quite busy. Before I let you go, though, there are two more aspects to orientation that we do for all new students. The first is that I will give you advice. Some of you may have noticed already, but the Eternal Academy does not care about rights, morals, or ethics. The only thing that speaks here is your talent, potential, and current power. Status, wealth, and all those things you have outside only work outside. Here they mean nothing. Andre's eyes became sharp as he smiled wider. If you doubt me, you can flaunt it or try to use it to bully others or advance yourself. There are those among the teachers, the students, and even the workers who are hungrily waiting for you to do so in order to enjoy the feeling of stomping your head into the ground. Ads by PubFuture. The eyes of all the aliens and mixed-breed humans flashed with amazement and excitement, while the face of the pure humans became ugly. The other aliens in the other seats glanced at Dante, who was in first place, with a hint of playfulness and cruelty while he ignored them, still wearing a confident smile. They'd scared and looked away, but then focused on the other pure humans who were not nearly as calm as Dante. Louisa had it the worst as the two aliens seated on either side of her began whispering cruelties into her ear, making her pale greatly. Of course, that doesn't mean you should go breaking the rules or doing anything stupid. As I said, the lack of status only works here in the Eternal Academy. If you stomp on someone's head and you leave the academy grounds, whatever consequence you suffer is your own. Andres reminded kindly. Suddenly, the excited aliens and mixed breeds changed greatly, while the pure humans who had been suppressed became ferocious. It was clear that after this orientation, a few calls will be made and a few tragedies may occur outside. The two aliens seated on either side of Louisa trembled and felt regret, while Louisa's expression became extremely cold. As for Dante, his face changed slightly when he understood what Andres was trying to do, but he didn't understand why. Suddenly, his mind clicked, and he looked up to the podium and actually observed the projections once more. His findings chilled his heart greatly, for what did he see? Every single member of the 46 upper echelons of the Eternal Academy was a pure human, not a single mixed breed or alien race among them. The implications of this were severe beyond belief. Before Dante could think further, Andres did something that he would have never expected, not in a million years. Settle down, students. Now comes the second and final part of the orientation ceremony, the reality check. Andres stated as his eyes fell on the unique batch students. You have all been separated into ranks based on your exam scores, and some of you, especially those among the unique batch, are extremely unwilling with the position you have been given. That's totally understandable. Andres patted his chest innocently like he understood their worries. When I first came here, I too was set at third place. I didn't believe nor understand why the two ahead of me got there until classes began and the facts were slapped in my face. However, you don't need to wait for classes to start. I'll do it for you right now. Andres then gestured to Dante, and the lights focused on him, bringing attention from both students and teachers to his person. To begin with, let's introduce your year's number 1 unique batch student, Dante, with his graded SSS rank superpower of teleportation. While exclamations occurred in the assembly hall, Dante's eyes
Chapter
became
28.
bloodshot.
Dante
From
had
hatred
never felt so
and
much
killing
anger in
intent
his
that
life,
surged
and
into
he
his
was not
heart. Sure he ever would. However, he was far from the only one who would experience this today, and Andres was going to make sure of that. Then there is the second place Humphrey with the graded SS rank talent, Aerogenesis. Let's give him a round of applause. Humphrey, the mixed-race human seated beside him who had ears like that of an elf, showed an even stronger reaction than Dante as his powers seemed to rise, the wind around him becoming sharp like a blade. He looked like he was a second away from firing at the projections, but he seemed to realize it would be futile as these were not their real bodies. The third place, Slessor with the graded SS rank talent, Space Folding. Let's give the lovely lady a round of applause. The Lamia girl's body changed, her beautiful face morphing into one of ferocity as her slitted eyes widened and her fangs elongated. Her tongue stuck out and her tail tensed, as if she was ready to pounce. The killing intent she gave off was more primal than Dante or Humphrey. Andres continued listing out all the unique batch's members' superpowers one by one, causing each and every one of them to glare at him with utter hatred. What he had done was a universal taboo that was about as bad as a crime as murder. Now, I see you students have been glaring at me with such ferocity that if I were here in reality, you'd probably try to kill me, and you would be justified too. After all, Revealing someone's superpowers which they entrusted to you in confidentiality is a severe breach of trust and is heavily punished by the Prime Civilization's Human Council. Andres continued when he finished his incomprehensible act. However, as I stated before, this second part of the orientation is the reality check. Here, we, your beloved teachers, take the risk of eternal damnation to slap your faces awake to the reality of the world and teach you the first lesson. Don't trust anyone with such information ever again. Andres smiled. But I see that none of you show grateful looks for the important lesson and still harbor malice. So I must say this for the record. Whether it is myself, the headmistress, or the teachers, none of us truly care or fear your little tantrums. We were once students who naturally awoke superpowers and entered the Zero Gate, acquiring even more for ourselves as time went on. We have lived for more years than 3 of your family's generations, so we have had ample time to practice and extract the potential of our abilities. Andres sneered, and the teachers behind him showed the full disregard they had for the harm they had caused the students, regardless of pure human or not. We happily welcome any attempts at revenge you have, now and forever till you eventually turn to dust. You can even report our misdeeds to the Human Council right after this orientation, but haha, good luck with that. Andres looked back. About half of the teachers here are counselors themselves, and are powerful enough that no one dares to punish them even if they genocide an entire race, much less reveal your little secrets. The faces of all the students changed greatly, and they finally understood what Andres meant by a reality check. They had been brutally wronged and abused, but due to how weak they were, there was nothing they could do about it, as background and wealth were irrelevant in the face of raw martial might. Who was going to police the strongest few beings in the universe? Haha, that's it for the orientation. Oh, and students of the elite and normal batch, please do not spread what you've heard today anywhere. If we find out that any persons of the unique batch's superpower are revealed to the public, we will hunt you down and personally take your life, Andres said in a kind manner. But the students of the 2 batches couldn't help but feel a chill. The projections left without waiting for any closing ceremony, and the last to leave was actually the headmistress. She glanced at Dante with her blood-red eyes, seated from a high position. Work hard and impress me, student, and I might take you in as my apprentice. There are powers in this universe that are far beyond your comprehension, and superpowers are just the bottom floor requirement to get in touch with them. She spoke these cryptic words and then did not even glance at the others like they were trash, not even those with SS-rank superpowers, then left. The entire assembly hall was quiet for a long while before it erupted in noise as the students vented their fury and fear at such treatment. While there were those with ugly expressions who lowered their head and planned to swallow this grievance, there were some hot-headed ones who wanted to fight right away. There were also those who thought their IQ was above the world itself and had glints in their eyes as they prepared to use the quantum network to contact certain dark societies to sell the information they had received today. There were also those righteous fellows who believed in the system and had filed long petitions as well as complaints to the Human Council, sneering at those arrogant teachers. There were those who sneered at the righteous fellows for being dumb and opened social media, planning to post what happened to everyone and use the public's anger to put pressure on the academy. Ads by PubFuture Everyone reacted with their own methods, but only the 28 unique batch students remained silent as they seriously digested the headmistress' words. They had never heard of something like this despite their various backings, though there were hints from their elders that something special was going on, something that contributed to the value of superpowers overall, but they did not have access to that info. It seemed that because Dante had an SSS-rank superpower, he had achieved the basic qualification to receive a hint from the headmistress. As for Dante himself, he maintained a cold expression like he was unhappy, but inside he sighed with relief. It was a good thing his superpower was mistaken as teleportation, and he swore never to tell anyone about his true ability no matter what. Today's lesson was very astute, especially for him. Unless he had the all-encompassing strength to suppress everything, a secret must remain a secret. He could be high profile for sure, but it was not necessary to reveal his quantum teleportation to anyone unless he could absolutely guarantee their trust. He was even thinking a step ahead about Andre's actions and what he said. They did this every year to every new batch? What a bunch of arrogant and crazy fellows. Did they know how many enemies with superpowers they were creating? Dante was a person who wasn't born and raised in the eternal universe, so he did not have the full sensibilities and ideals that the natives had. He might forgive their trespass because they were wrong about his superpower and because he didn't much care due to the wrong information. But these natives had expressions like they had witnessed their parents being killed in front of them. Seriously, who does that? Just create hundreds of young enemies that will work hard to try and kill you? All of that just to establish your prestige? Why not just organize a tournament and beat them up instead? Dante then thought about what Headmistress Lara said, and his surprise was not that great. After all, these fellows might not know, but he knew. There were higher dimensional beings in this universe who lived in the fourth dimension and above. That was how he survived his trip into this universe and even gained his superpower. These beings were so powerful that they could grant superpowers on a whim. So Dante was not like his classmates who felt that superpowers were the limit and height of what one could achieve. Dante did not want to think about higher dimensional beings and what that meant for now. He simply got up from his seat and began to leave the assembly hall while the others seemed to wake up. They also left one by one, some in groups as well, while they continued to chat and form cliques. Many eyes filled with schadenfreude or pity fell upon the 28 unique batch members, feeling excited that they got violated without being able to fight back. After all, the class system between students had already caused dark feelings to emerge in their hearts. As for Dante, he directly stepped into a nearby teleporter and left, appearing in front of his residence. He looked over and saw that Humphrey appeared at the teleporter to the residence on his right, and the two shared a look before ignoring each other and entering their residences. Dante slumped on a sofa in the living room and gazed at the ceiling. He felt tired despite only spending less than 20 minutes in that orientation, and it had also given him a lot to think about. Anyway, while he was here, it was time to check out the information uploaded to his chip.